It's been 10 years since Culture convened to respond to Manchester's first climate change policy, and I want to share the experience we've had of working together. A collaborative journey started that would see the development of a regional network that later became GMAST, a community within the cultural sector learning and sharing experience with each other. Right from the beginning, our ethos was that this was a collective challenge that we had to meet by working together, that we would share each other's success, whether that was gaining knowledge or developing practice, and that we would approach our impact as a sector and embrace local targets. As the years rolled by, the momentum and commitment grew and our impact reduced. Remarkable that all of this happened through a period of considerable funding reduction for our city and sector. Also, there began to emerge some incredible engagement projects, and they now form a regular part of many organisations' programming. Culture bringing stories to life that are meaningful in our communities and helping develop that all-important emotional connection that drives action. After 5 years, we were a much larger group, including art centres, theatres, museums, galleries, festivals, broadcasters, music venues, production companies, and more, exploring the challenges and meeting them together. Ultimately, we became involved in city policy developments, and little did we know how unusual that was, culture and climate working together. In 2018, Manchester's good practice was recognised by the EU's URBAC programme, its focus driving change for better cities. It presented the MAST model and its contribution to the city's climate change policies, and we began to explore how we could share what we'd learned. The project ultimately became known as Sea Change, and it would run across 3 years, and it brought together Manchester and 5 other European cities. And it was a different kind of project because it involved city administrations and their culture sector to network, collaborate, and then shape action together. All the cities were very different, but all have culture at their heart. In most cases, because we were visiting, it was the very first time that culture and environment had been asked how they could work together. The project had 4 main strands: collaboration between city and sector, support from the city and the tools and skills to explore environmental action, policy, understanding climate change targets and getting involved in developing them, and engagement, looking at how culture can be in conversation with communities and generate meaningful activities to connect us on climate. And the results of the project have been kind of amazing. All of the cities have changed how they're connecting climate and culture and with each other. And culture has become involved in developing local policy and strategy, but most importantly, creating community engagement through cultural activities. MAST is part of what's known as the Manchester Climate Change Partnership. It's a sector-led approach directing the work of our local climate change agency. The University of Manchester participates, as does MMU, and local networks focusing on health and well-being, social housing, faith come together with the city council, business, the airport, football club, and the power network operator for the Northwest. There's also a youth board. The model provides new connections in the city and brings sectors together who might not have collaborated. With academic learning at the heart of evolving strategy, it helps us define future focus, and recent projects have included exploring consumption-based emissions and adaptation and resilience planning. Many minds, many perspectives, great thinkers and great communicators. As a cultural network, we've looked hard at the barriers to action and developed some resources to help instill the confidence to build a more sustainable approach into cultural practice. Cultural organisations that are part of higher education are an amazing knowledge bridge. Some organisations are well on their journey, others just starting out, but our ethos for the network remains the same. We're in this together. This is our response to local climate targets. The blue are areas of focus for any cultural organisation, and I'll whiz through them quickly. Understanding policy and our position within the carbon budget, planning further reduction, engaging with people, reducing the impact of cultural places and changing our practice. And around them, the strengths our sector brings to help imagine, inspire, inform, innovate, and include. We think that's the biggest impact we can have. Culture as convener, ambassador, placemaker, and part of the health and well-being of our communities of all ages, advocating, demonstrating, and a safe space to explore our feelings, a great place to examine our fixation on consumption and embrace other models. And we look forward to working more closely with the wealth of knowledge in our city region. A decade after we started, we now bring together more than 50 cultural organisations working across the city region, and we've become GMAST because we're greater together. And we're seeing more networks like ours emerge and exploring how we can work together across the north. And our online home that you can see the link to shares our practice and resources for this city and beyond. Climate change is a global issue that also requires understanding and action at a local level. None of us can tackle this alone. It is perhaps our greatest collective endeavour. As recognised now in national policy, when culture and science come together, the results can be amazing. Thanks.